Conflicts and protests during Independence Day. Protests against the far-right Sinimustar group at Ordi Library, Helsinki. Controversial road construction project in Lapland included in the transport strategy. Independence Day parade celebration in Lappeenranta, Finland. Finland's National Day celebrations became the focal point of protests and clashes in Helsinki, with the highlight being the 612 Soitukulku march organized by a far-right group. The march, which started at Turku Market, attracted public attention due to the involvement of individuals and organizations linked to extremist ideologies. Some participants in the march performed fascist-style salutes, including members of the Soldiers of Odin group, known for its anti-immigration stance, and Active Club, an international far-right network. Notably, Member of Parliament Termu Keski-Saari also participated, carrying a torch symbolizing the march. In opposition to the march, the Helsinki Without Nazis movement was organized to protest the extremist views and violence they believed the 612 Torchlight procession group represented. The counter-movement was planned to assemble at Tavelati Square, approximately 500 meters from Turku Market. However, some protesters gathered near the march's location, leading to escalating tensions and direct confrontations with the police. The Helsinki police used force to disperse the counter-protesters, resulting in the arrest of 40 people. According to Police Chief Patrik Carlson, the protesters resisted violently, including kicking and assaulting the police. He stated that the police had repeatedly asked the protesters to disperse before resorting to force, including deploying formations to push back the crowd. On the other hand, the organizers of Helsinki Without Nazis condemned the police actions, accusing them of excessive force. Some protesters claimed that the police used horses to knock down demonstrators, causing injuries and leading to some individuals fainting. They even argued that the police arrested peaceful protesters without valid justification. The use of horses in crowd control has been controversial in previous years. A similar incident in 2023, where a police horse knocked over a protester, led to complaints to the inspector's office. The inspector's ruling deemed the use of the horse in this case as unreasonable, and the police received a warning. The agency also suggested reassessing the role of horses in protest control duties and whether they should be considered enforcement tools. This event has sparked debates in Finnish society about the right to protest, police handling of demonstrations, and the influence of extremist groups in the national political context. Allegations of police abuse of power, combined with the presence of far-right ideologies on this significant holiday, have deeply divided public opinion. On December 6, a protest took place at the Ordi Library in Helsinki against a book club organized by the far-right Sinimusta group. Protesters used slogans such as, "Helsinki Without Nazis," and "Far-right Kills," to oppose the presence of Sinimusta, known for its racist ideology. While no violence occurred, the situation at the library became tense with the presence of over 10 police officers and 400 to 500 people, including around 50 members of Sinimusta. Library director Anna Maria Soinenvaara expressed concern about the library being turned into a site of confrontation, describing the situation as chaotic. She affirmed the library's commitment to freedom of speech but emphasized that it does not tolerate racist activities, hoping such incidents will not recur. The 20-kilometer Kut-to-Rar Poles road through Lapland's wilderness was recently added to the Lapland 2050 transport strategy, following a decision by the Regional Council of Lapland. The Finnish Ministry of Defense emphasized the road's importance for national security. However, the project has faced significant opposition. Over 5,900 signatures have been collected in a petition against the road, led by residents of Kut-to-Rar village, the reindeer herding communities of Salivaara and Hamastuntori, and the Sami Council. The proposed road would be built on the site of an old forest track. This is not the first time the idea has surfaced. A similar project 15 years ago was cancelled after strong opposition, which then garnered nearly 5,000 signatures. Currently, a survey of the route will be conducted at the Ministry of Defense's request, but no concrete actions have yet been initiated. Finland's Independence Day was celebrated grandly in Lappeenranta with a national parade that drew thousands of attendees. The event was divided into two parts, a military review at Kimpinen Stadium and a parade along Einankatu Street near Lappeenranta Harbor. The parade featured 1,200 participants, including personnel from the Army, Navy, Air Force, National Defense University, Border Guard, as well as veterans and defense organizations. Music was provided by the Lappeenranta Rakuna Band. Families, such as those of Tommy Varsama and Tuomas Rapport, expressed gratitude for the nation's independence. Varsama highlighted his interest in defense capabilities, while Rapport emphasized the importance of remembering history. At Lappeenranta Harbor, attendees enjoyed viewing modern military equipment and sampling 5,000 sausages prepared by the Lappeenranta Military Association. The event concluded with a unique parade along Ainankatu, blending the scenic views of Lake Saimaa, Lappeenranta Harbor, and the historic fortress, creating a solemn yet warm atmosphere. On December 5, despite snow and rain, approximately 4,000 to 5,000 people gathered at Kansalaistory Square in Helsinki to protest the Finnish government's plan to cut €17 million from the cultural budget in 2024. The demonstration, titled Stop the Scissors, attracted numerous prominent artists, including singer Paula Vesala and actress Alma Poisti. Finland's cultural sector, already severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, now faces the risk of significant weakening. The proposed cuts are expected to affect performances, cinemas, theaters, and artists' incomes. "We just want to live off our own work," shared textile artist Aurora Frestadius. During the event, over 93,000 signatures were submitted to the government opposing the plan. The protest also featured artistic performances and satirical political theater, creating a lively yet serious atmosphere. The cultural sector has warned that these cuts will disproportionately impact small and remote areas, where cultural activities heavily rely on public funding. Simon Ekpa, a Finnish citizen of Nigerian descent, is currently detained in Lodi on charges of inciting violence through online broadcasts. Ekpa claims to be the Prime Minister in exile of the Republic of Biafra, a southeastern Nigerian region seeking independence with a population of 50 million. The incident drew attention when Ekpa's group declared Biafra's independence in Lodi last week, despite opposition from larger organizations such as IPOB, the indigenous people of Biafra. IPOB has refused to recognize Ekpa, accusing his activities of being fraudulent. Researchers suggest that Ekpa's group operates as a small, online-focused faction with little support from the broader community. However, curfews imposed remotely by Ekpa have caused unrest and violence in Nigeria. Finnish authorities are now assessing the legality of his actions, which could have implications for diplomatic relations between Finland and Nigeria. In the early hours of December 5, a young man under the age of 20 was fatally shot in a public area in Kurstinmäki, Suvela, Espoo. Police suspect the incident is linked to gang activities and criminal networks. The main suspect, an Estonian national, was previously involved in another shooting incident in 2023. Authorities believe he is attempting to flee the country and have released his identity and photo to solicit information from the public. Some residents have expressed concerns over the rise in violence in Suvela, an area typically known for its tranquility. The case is currently being investigated by the Capital Region's Gang Crime Task Force. On November 29, in Mieslahti, Paltarmo, a man born in the 1960s murdered his ex-wife at the holiday housing area of Kainuun-Opisto, where she was attending a Christmas camp. The victim's body was discovered on the morning of November 30 when she failed to arrive at a scheduled meeting. After committing the crime, the suspect drove under the influence and collided with a truck on Aulanti Air Road. He was taken to the hospital but left without permission the following morning. Police arrested the suspect the same day in Pihanta without incident. He confessed to the crime during a court hearing via video link from the hospital. In addition to murder, he faces charges of serious traffic violations. The Kainuun-Opisto community, where the incident occurred, is deeply shocked. Authorities have provided psychological support to those affected. Police confirmed that the suspect acted alone and are continuing their investigation. Russian media quickly reported on the fiber optic cable disruption between Finland and Sweden, linking it to cable damages in the Baltic Sea earlier in November. Major outlets like TASS and Interfax adopted a neutral tone, citing Finnish and Swedish media. However, nationalist-leaning sites like Sargrad mockingly suggested that Deepwater Beavers might be to blame. Initial incomplete reports from Swedish media raised public fears of potential sabotage, but Finnish police dismissed this theory, confirming that the disruptions were caused by routine construction work. The incident affected 6,000 households and 200 businesses, but connections have now been fully restored. Norwegian company Norske Fuel plans to construct a synthetic aviation fuel production plant in Imatra, Finland. The facility will occupy a 35-hectare industrial area near the Ovako steel plant, close to the Russian border and the Vuoksi River. After 5 to 6 years of construction, the plant is expected to produce approximately 80,000 tons of synthetic aviation fuel annually and create 120 to 140 long-term jobs. The production technology will combine hydrogen with biogenic carbonic, utilizing electricity and emissions from the local paper industry. According to commercial director Lars Bjorn Larsen, Imatra was chosen for its abundant resources, strong electrical infrastructure, and strategic location. The project aligns with the EU's renewable fuel targets, with Norwegian Airlines and Cargolux as initial customers. This initiative marks a significant step toward sustainable aviation. Kesko Group is planning to establish a new chain of hypermarkets in 5 major cities in Finland between 2025 and 2027 to strengthen its market share and increase revenue. The locations include Kuopio, Lahti, Lemparlar, Vantaa, and Porvoo. Plans for a hypermarket in Espoo are still under development. In Lahti, a hypermarket covering approximately 10,000 square meters will be constructed near the city center, replacing Finland's first city market, which opened in 1971. The project is expected to be completed by fall 2025, featuring amenities such as an Alko store, a pharmacy, laundry services, and automated parcel lockers. Ari Axeli, director of Kesko's food retail division, stated that hypermarkets are the most efficient retail model, with food sales accounting for 70% of revenue. Building hypermarkets in city centers ensures accessibility via multiple transportation options, not just cars. According to Juha Helminen, Lahti's director of city planning, the project will enhance the area's appeal and make shopping more convenient for residents, contributing to the vibrancy of the city center. A major project to build a low-carbon aluminum production plant is being planned in the Kruunuportti industrial area, located between Kokkola and Kruunupi, Finland. This will be the first aluminum plant in mainland Europe in over 30 years, significantly improving the supply of clean aluminum in the region. The plant is expected to cover an area of 180 hectares, with 130 hectares in Kokkola and 50 hectares in Kruunupi. Once operational, it will create 1,500 direct jobs, along with numerous indirect employment opportunities. The project is being developed by Arcshell in collaboration with major companies such as Rio Tinto, Mitsubishi Corporation, and Fortum. Investment decisions are expected in 2026-2027, with the plant potentially starting operations in 2029. Kokkolan Mayor Stina Mattila highlighted the project's substantial benefits for the city's development, including improved infrastructure and opportunities for local businesses. The city is seeking government support for related investments. Finland's food industry, particularly in the Satakunta region, is facing severe labor shortages, especially for roles in processing and mandatory meat inspection. A growing disconnect from food origins has made meat inspection jobs less appealing to young students. To address the issue, the vocational school Winnova has partnered with HK Foods to launch a meat inspection training program. The first graduates from the program, who completed their studies this past summer, are now ready to work. However, the food industry continues to struggle with attracting significant interest. Maiju Korhonen, an expert from the Food Industry Association, noted that misconceptions about the nature of food industry work persist. Modern processing facilities are now very clean and well maintained. Despite the challenges, industry experts believe food demand will ensure stable employment in the future. People always need to eat, and that will never change, said Reisa Niemi, a food industry lecturer at Winnova. Since 2010, housing prices in Finland have risen by less than 10%, ranking among the lowest in Europe alongside Italy and Cyprus. In contrast, countries like Iceland, Estonia, and Hungary have seen housing prices triple over the same period. The slow growth in Finland is attributed to 3 main factors. 1. Uneven population distribution. Demand for housing has declined outside major urban areas. 2. Slow growth in real income. Real incomes have risen by just 5% over the past decade, compared to 13% in Germany and 17% in Sweden. 3. Ample housing supply. Strong construction investments, accounting for 7.2% of GDP, higher than the EU average, have kept housing supply robust. While this trend benefits first-time homebuyers by keeping housing prices accessible, experts predict that if interest rates continue to drop, the Finnish housing market could become more dynamic in the future. The Finnish Confederation of Trade Unions (SAC) has proposed a 10% wage increase over the next 2 years, sparking a contentious debate among economists. The Economic Research Institute (ETLA) argues that such a hike is too steep and could harm the country's competitiveness. Conversely, Laboren, another research organization, emphasizes that the increase is necessary to offset recent high inflation rates. ETLA also points out that Finland's labor productivity lags behind Germany and Sweden, making direct comparisons with these countries difficult. High wage increases could place additional strain on businesses, particularly in the current uncertain economic climate. Meanwhile, strikes are ongoing across several sectors, including Finnair pilots, which are expected to result in the cancellation of over 300 flights next week. The strikes aim to push forward negotiations on working conditions after prolonged deadlocks. SAC argues that higher wages would boost consumption and support the economy, but experts caution that a balanced approach is crucial to ensure sustainable growth. Finland has recorded its highest number of adenovirus, mycoplasma, and whooping cough infections since data collection began in 1995. This surge has led to a significant increase in pneumonia cases, particularly among young people. Whooping cough infections alone nearly reached 2,600 cases this year, with 30% occurring in children aged 10 to 14. Experts attribute the spike to weakened community immunity due to COVID-19 restrictions, which drastically reduced exposure to respiratory pathogens. Some patients have been simultaneously infected with all three illnesses. For the first time, antibiotic-resistant whooping cough bacteria have been detected in Finland, complicating treatment, especially for unvaccinated infants. However, experts assure that current vaccines remain effective in preventing severe complications. Although the situation is starting to stabilize, experts are optimistic that herd immunity will strengthen following this wave, making the next year less severe. Marek Kastrin, a member of parliament and doctor from the Kokoomus party, warned in an interview that Finland could face an opioid crisis similar to that of the United States if the use of strong painkillers is not carefully monitored. Markku Markkijärvi, chief physician at HUS, noted that healthcare professionals sometimes lack sufficient time to thoroughly evaluate the most appropriate painkillers, leading to unnecessary prescriptions of overly potent drugs. While he emphasized that the risk of an opioid crisis in Finland remains very low, he acknowledged the dangers associated with drug misuse. Reports indicate that 2023 saw a record number of drug-related deaths in Finland, particularly among individuals under the age of 25. Kastrin called for timely oversight and regulatory measures to prevent similar tragedies. PFAS compounds, known as forever chemicals, have polluted drinking water supplies worldwide, yet precise data on their prevalence in Finland is still lacking. Starting in 2026, EU legislation will mandate monitoring PFAS concentrations in drinking water. Preliminary studies in Finland have not found PFAS levels as hazardous as those seen in Ronneby, Sweden, where severe contamination resulted from firefighting foam used at an airport. However, fish samples from Lake Hamoharvi near Tampere-Pirkkala Airport revealed PFAS levels 5 times the permissible limit. Currently, Finland applies a 100 nanograms L limit for the total concentration of 20 PFAS compounds in drinking water, aligning with many EU countries but higher than the stricter standards in Sweden and Denmark, 2-20 nanograms L. A recent study by THL, Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare, indicates that PFAS levels in the blood of 1-year-old children in Finland remain low, posing no significant health risks. However, continued monitoring and research are essential to ensure public safety.